You wake up one morning, reach for your phone, and nothing loads. No notifications, no messages, no signal bars. You shrug it off. Maybe it's your Wi-Fi. But then your neighbor's Wi-Fi is down too. Your office network? Dead. The entire city? Offline. Within minutes, chaos begins to ripple across the planet. The internet has vanished. At first, it feels like a temporary outage, a glitch, a cyber attack, maybe a satellite problem. But as hours turn into days, one terrifying truth spreads through the silence. The internet isn't coming back. Ever. The internet is not just a network of websites. It's the invisible nervous system of our world. Every email, every transaction, every heartbeat of modern life flows through it. Nearly 5 billion people rely on it every single day. Governments, banks, hospitals, and power grids depend on it more than they depend on the air we breathe. So what would happen if it suddenly stopped? The moment the internet collapses, communication freezes. Mobile networks start failing almost immediately. Messaging apps, social media, video calls, gone. For billions, the silence is unbearable. Businesses can't process payments, banks can't verify transactions, and news agencies can't update the world. Airports face total confusion. Planes in midair lose access to cloud-based navigation and weather data. Air traffic controllers revert to radio communication, an ancient fallback, barely enough to prevent disaster. Within 24 hours, global trade begins to buckle. Cargo ships, ports, and logistics hubs all rely on automated systems connected to the internet. GPS synchronization fails, shipments stall mid-journey, and factories grind to a halt. The stock market, gone. Online banking, useless. Digital transactions, impossible. ATMs stop dispensing cash after a few frantic hours. Credit cards become nothing more than pieces of plastic. In a matter of days, the global economy plunges into a free fall not seen since the Great Depression. Within a week, cities begin to starve. Supermarkets run out of supplies. Supply chains, dependent on real-time data and automation, collapse completely. Trucks can't coordinate deliveries, payment systems can't process purchases, and distribution networks fall apart. Governments struggle to maintain order. Misinformation spreads by word of mouth, creating panic and fear. Without social media or digital news, people turn to rumors. Protests erupt. Looting begins. And then, the power grid starts to fail. Much of the world's energy infrastructure relies on remote monitoring and internet-based control systems. Without them, operators can't balance loads or detect failures. Blackouts spread from city to city. Water treatment plants, also controlled online, go offline. Clean water becomes scarce. Hospitals are next. Medical records vanish. Equipment connected through online systems goes dark. Doctors lose access to patient histories, digital imaging, and prescriptions. Emergency coordination collapses. Lives are lost, not because of disease, but because data can no longer flow. We've seen glimpses of this before, not in fiction but in reality. In 2008, a single severed undersea cable disconnected parts of the Middle East from the internet. In 2021, a small configuration error in a major network provider briefly broke access to hundreds of websites worldwide. Each event caused massive disruption, and they lasted only hours. Now imagine that multiplied 1,000-fold. Forever. Some might think we could just go back to a pre-internet era. But that's an illusion. Society has evolved far beyond that point. Our transportation systems are digital. Our factories are automated. Our economies are paperless. Even agriculture depends on sensors, satellites, and cloud-managed irrigation. Humanity has woven the internet so deeply into its fabric that removing it would be like removing oxygen from the atmosphere. Without online communication, the world fragments. Nations close borders to prevent chaos. Trade agreements collapse. International cooperation fades into suspicion. Large cities, once connected to global supply networks, become isolated fortresses struggling to sustain themselves. Meanwhile, a new form of power emerges. Those who can control local, offline technology. Engineers who can rebuild analog systems, radio operators who can communicate without the web, archivists who preserved physical copies of information. Old technologies return, fax machines, shortwave radios, physical maps, and handwritten letters. But progress slows to a crawl. Knowledge once stored in the cloud becomes inaccessible. Decades of research, data, and communication vanish into digital oblivion. Humanity loses not just connection, but memory. Economies rewire themselves around barter and physical currency. Gold, silver, and even fuel become the new standards of exchange. Cities shrink as rural areas become self-reliant. A new dark age begins, not one of ignorance, but of disconnection. Yet, humans adapt. Within years, small communities create local intranets, closed systems that function independently, connecting only nearby towns or organizations. Engineers rebuild primitive networks using radio waves and satellite fragments. Slowly, tiny sparks of connection flicker in the darkness. But the global internet, the one that united humanity under one digital sky, remains gone, and something unexpected happens. Silence. Real silence. Streets are quieter. Skies clearer. Without constant streams of content, attention returns to the physical world. Families talk again. People read, walk, observe. Some rediscover a kind of peace that the hyper-connected age had buried. But for most, the cost is unbearable. Billions of lives lost through famine, conflict, or collapse. Generations of progress erased. A civilization built on data, undone by its own dependence on it. Could it really happen? Technically, yes, though it's unlikely. The internet isn't a single entity. It's a vast web of interconnected networks spanning the globe. To erase it forever would require a simultaneous global collapse of satellites, undersea cables, servers, and power systems. Nearly impossible, but not unthinkable. A powerful solar storm could damage satellites and electrical infrastructure worldwide. A massive cyber war could cripple global communication networks. Or humanity could simply choose, for survival, control, or security, to shut it all down. History has shown that every great civilization builds its own weakness into its greatest strength. For us, that weakness is connection itself. We built the internet to unite humanity. But in doing so, we made ourselves dependent, vulnerable to the smallest spark that could burn the web that binds us. And if that spark ever comes, would we survive the silence? Because the real question isn't what if the internet shut down forever. It's what if we've already forgotten how to live without it? What happens next? When the world's greatest invention becomes its greatest extinction? That's a story for another time.